So I'm super excited to see the draft, and I circled something on my piece of paper and showed you, Rusty. I think it's time to leave Caitlyn open on the red side. Let Y4 have it, because the priority picks for RNG, I feel like there are picks that supersede the Caitlyn.
And perhaps for the final time today, we're going to jump into Champion Select. It's RNG up against MVP. We're jumping into these bans real quick. Kalista and Galio will start it off for RNG.
Yeah, Kalista banned by RNG on the blue side. If that doesn't indicate the champions they're looking towards, I don't know what does. But at the same time, I like the bans now coming through from MVP as adaptations out of necessity.
And there's a real quirk here about RNG. They've played 3 games all on the blue side. They haven't played a single game on the red side. They come in on the 4th game when they have choice of side and choose blue predictably. So far, they've played Thresh and Jarvan every game. Jarvan is their blind pick on the top lane, and that should be information that MVP have been made very clear. Rek'Sai has been Beyond's jungler. That's banned away. I like to see that. Something has to give in terms of this pick ban, and I feel like that something is Caitlyn. Give it to them.
Remember during all of this that there are still mid lane champions there and available for both of them. Of course, Xiao, who has been utterly incredible throughout his regular season and coming into this tournament, did 44% of his team's damage in one game as Corki. That's always going to be somewhere you have to look towards as another respect ban.
And so they leave open Caitlyn. That sounds like a gambit. Caitlyn has been permanently contested this tournament. It's going to be locked in. Y4 is only 1-1 on the Caitlyn, and Y4 is the biggest question mark here. It is not RNG riding into game 4 with Uzi. You give Uzi Caitlyn, every team in the world is shuddering. This is not the same sort of respect, and I wonder how MVP will draft against it. It could be the Jhin that was a big one for Maha, or just maybe a Varus.
I'm expecting the Rakan to be seen at the very least. With that, you could couple an Ashe, I would say, for Maha here. Just having that extra pick for the 2v2 bottom lane. But of course, you wouldn't go straight towards AD carries now unless you really want to cement that 2v2, but you give Ming the option then.
So I think MVP was surprised a bit by the bans on blue side. The Galio on blue, interesting. The Kalista on blue, interesting. I thought that MVP would fit in a Corki ban some way here, because Xiao, whose Corki has been just dominant. It's superseded most of the other Corki players. He could take it in this round of the draft.
Certainly could.
And this would be a really strong power pick, because like we said with Ian, is he going to Karma?
Sure.
Is he going to Orianna? Is he going to Syndra? Because Syndra's actually still available here.
And I really do like the option of the Corki here, strictly into the Syndra as well as the matchup, but for Xiaohu individually as well.
But how does Ian go? Because Ian has been the big swing. Ian's fall in summer has led to MVP's fall. Does he go Syndra, his comfort? Does he look to Orianna, a competitive lane? Or does he go elsewhere? Maybe he'll actually take his time. They'll just draft the Ashe to stop there being AD carry bans.
That's risky though. Because again, you get rid of the mid lane as your pick third, you pick the AD carry.
But he's got 3, Rusty. He's got 3 champions he can play. He can play the Syndra, he can play the Karma. He could also go to Orianna that was 0-6. They did pick up a win with it against Machi, so they can feel a little bit better about it. The bans now on blue side are going to be the most interesting.
Yeah, let's quickly recap where we're up to. So it was Rakan, Elise, and Ashe coming in from MVP, and Gragas and Corki for the first phase of picks for RNG. Jarvan's going to be banned out here against Let Me, but we are probably looking to hammer out that top lane pool right now, as no one has picked a top laner. Again, Jax aimed at ADD.
Yeah, Let Me, very good tank player, has been able to dabble in some other carries. Of course, Renekton's still one of those top lane champions that you're looking at and saying it's going to be up and available. MVP, they get the first rotation of picks in the second pick phase. Do RNG get rid of it, or do they actually want to go back to the historic Gnar counter that Let Me has actually played?
Kled banned away in this scenario. These questions, they keep on mounting. The draft has gone surprisingly like we expected, but also very different. This is quintessential late game tournament meta. These teams meta. Jarvan, Thresh, the 2 blue side staples banned away from the side of RNG. Will it just be the Orianna here that does fit the comp and the initiation very well? I think you have to blind pick mid lane. Oh, sorry, answer the Corki and have the answering pick for ADD at last. To me, Orianna fits the situation cleanest.
And for now, that was all top lane bans. So Jax, Renekton, Kled, and Jarvan removed from ADD and Let Me. So we'll see where else they can go from here on out. MVP looking towards their mid laner. Right, hit that one on the head there, Papa. It will be the Syndra in the mid lane for Ian.
And this is something that I don't want to deep dive into here, but Ming's champion pool, just keep in your mind the Leona. Just think about it. It's always an option.
Well, we've gone on a hit streak so far in terms of getting the right choices here, so I'll leave you there. And like you say, against Syndra,
Tom Kench makes the most sense, to be fair.
There's a lot of options here. You're pretty relieved in terms of pressure when you're laning against Rakan. Looks like it's going to be the Karma support, just for some lane pressure anyway. Now the question mark is, what is the blind pick top laner? ADD has had a struggle to put together champions like, for example, the Sion that was his big pick in the spring season. I could see him running Rumble, but that's probably too high on the magic damage, so it probably has to be a physical damage dealer on the red side, and they're going to go for a pressure lane, and they will pick Let Me something with pressure. I'm really interested to see where ADD goes here, because a lot of his effective champion pool is gone. Yeah,
and physical damage dealers on the red side with Camille gone. You're looking at Fiora almost as one of the only remaining, right?
Please no.
I know what you're thinking.
It's tough.
It's a good matchup for sure. Now, there is another matchup you can go, bringing back an old pick. The Poppy is seen basically as only a Camille counter, kind of how the Gnar is only reliably seen on 7-12 into the Renekton. Counter is strong, but it does have a lot of outplay against the Camille. But we're sending the clock back a lot. But hey, if you told MVP, let's send the clock back to spring, they'd smile and say, yes, please, as fast as possible.
But is this an MVP composition out from Spring, Papa? Because I was promised cheese, but we've gone straight back into Summer MVP.
I have a great news for you. Yes, this is a comp MVP can play. Pick comp was the only style they would play. They would fit in the cheese, but the cheese would fit into pick as an identity. Poppy fits into the pick comp. This is something that MVP works, but there is still that dread that Let Me can get going on the Camille, and then all the pseudo answers that a Poppy can provide are just nullified.
And look, to be perfectly honest with you as well, Max is known for being able to play a wide plethora of cheesy champions. Rakan is still perfect for him. He's got the tools to be the engaged, the disengaged. He's just got so much there for himself with the champion that I feel like this is where he'll stick towards if I'm picking meta, not cheese as Max.
It's my favorite draft that MVP have put together all summer. Does that mean they're going to win? Definitely still up in the air, but it fits the players. It has some comfort on the players. This is a must-win. We're relying on MVP, and if they go out with this draft, at least they haven't let themselves down in pick and ban.
It's just such a nail-biter. If you're anyone coming in from the LCK, the teams, the fans, everybody watching this, and their hopes and dreams lie on MVP, a team who have fallen so far from grace, so far down the standings. It's just, can they do it? That is the big question.
Potentially on the brink of the last game of the night here, if RNG can... It's not even an upset anymore, weirdly enough. RNG, the inconsistent team from the LPL, if they can show up to their full power, their full strength, and take it to MVP.
And you have to think this is LPL's moment. You have to pencil in SKT with blank if we go to a Game 5. This is the Game 4. This is China's time.
Yeah.
No second chances. The champions and me locked in. And we're on to the Rift as well. RNG up against MVP for what could be our final game of Rift Rivals 2017.
And we've spoken extensively, Papa, about what MVP have got. We're happy with the draft for them. Honestly, as a team right now, it's almost paying homage to the spring drafting they had for themselves with the addition maybe of a Rakan. When you look over at the side of RNG and their team composition, he's made highlight reels with the Camille. You've got Xiao, who is hard carried with his Corki. MLXG's comfortable. Y4, it's Caitlyn.
And that's the thing is, we're happy, but that's because we sat there, we agonized the statistics, we crossed things out, we had some smoke signals over the studio. We've really thought about it. But then again, RNG have power. Then again, Caitlyn is permaban. Just because the tendencies for RNG aren't necessarily what's got them success before. Even if the numbers aren't there, RNG still have a power draft.
And it's will they continue that performance they've had in Rift Rivals, because it has been very different from their domestic performance. No one, I think, was expecting RNG, who have fallen pretty far in the standings, to pretty much stood as the most consistent team, maybe outside of WE, from the LPL right now. And it's honestly fantastic to see the growth, especially when you don't have the headline player Uzi playing on this lineup.
Expectations have counted for so little in this tournament. RNG went from being the biggest question mark to being very much possibly the team. I mean, we're kind of surprised we didn't see them actually playing in the final match yesterday. Hard leash coming through.
Very gracious of RNG to do that with the Karma as their support. He lost a lot of health for that.
You sound like a proud father talking about how his son said, bless you or something.
Absolutely, because it's not something I expected from RNG, to be perfectly honest with you. MLXG is usually the one that gets told what to do, and they're empowering him.
Somehow we're saying expect more than they did in NA versus EU when they had a player named Expect, so interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Beyond is less of a pull for him, but he'll go onto this blue buff now. It's, gone buff camp buff for him. Meanwhile, on the top lane, we see Let Me going up against ADD. And pretty much when you look at the players, heavy outclass when you look towards Let Me against ADD. And again, it's the Camille into Poppy matchup. You said that Poppy is often picked into Camille, but there are windows you can open up with the hook shot into the steadfast presence.
Here. Beyond's going to get in completely unseen through the wards. RNG are showing respect as if they know, but they actually don't.
Ships moving in the night sometimes can have situations like that. Why do you have a thinking emoji in real life?
I just always do that. I'm a very emotive person. I pretty much am just an emoji. But yeah, for now, we're not going to see that happen. And MLXG going to pick up the crab here. Just, again, pressure on this top side, allowing Let Me to do whatever he wants in this lane.
You know, you said we see the Poppy often into Camille. That's a bit of a false narrative, right? We definitely saw it a lot in spring, but Poppy being target nerfed, tank itemization being taken down. There's reasons why we haven't seen the Poppy commonly, but it's an ADD champion that we know he can play. The Rumble wouldn't have fit in this particular scenario, and that was kind of the last pick he had a win with in summer season available to him. So it should go competitive, but it's not necessarily going to run away with the lane like a Nara into
And of course, this is obviously just the spell interactions from them as to why it's a decent pick for himself. You've got the ability to prevent Camille from using the hook shot, so she's never going to get in on top of you and be able to out-trade you unless you go onto her. So it means you get to trade on your own accord. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll win every trade, but you don't have a bad time.
It's definitely better than other matchups, and honestly, ADD did not have too many other places to turn. I mean, I think Rumble was like the only other competitive top lane that's left open for him.
He's walking up here.
Big opportunity for MLXG if he wants to get in.
It's greedy for him to take this wave, and Elise is not pathing over.
It's just recalling. They don't want to actually cause any upsets here at the top lane. There's a lot of minions about to crash, and Let Me wants to catch them.
And that was the what if, right? That was, again, the next level of, well, if the Elise is in the brush, this could be turned. We could lose. The Poppy could get an extra item. And people are overthinking things because, of course, the whole tournament is potentially riding on the line of this victory. So ADD gets a reprieve just like the bot lane of RNG got a reprieve.
You mean exactly what happened when RNG played against KT, Papa Smithy, where there was someone in that bush ready.
Maybe some bad memories there. You see the Poppy just jumping in, getting some deep vision down before popping back over the wall.
Ian would love to keep playing in this tournament where he gets Syndra more than once in a while. 11-4 in 2017 on the pick that was, I believe, 10-0 in spring season before it saw its first loss. Could have gone Orianna, though. I felt really did fit the comp very strongly, but pick comp was enacted instead of a teamfight comp. Okay, they're on to the Gravis.
Aggression out from MVP here.
Oh,
MXG gets stuck on a Spiderling. We'll have to flash over the wall. Ian is pretty much out of mana at this point in time, though. Beyond's going to come with the flash. He really wants this. First blood over to Ian with the auto attack, and Jiahu can't do anything.
And Ian gets a blue buff from getting the kill as well. Didn't have enough mana until the very end.
And Corki has to leave even with double summoners because the experience could mean a level 6 and then another kill. The auto attacks from Ian actually contributed the 100 health, and Beyond believed in himself. He actually jumped in onto the Elise after the Rek'Sai was banned away. This was his trademark in the spring season. And MVP, wow, okay. The first blood has been so pivotal in the game so far, and it gives Syndra further lane pressure in the mid.
What a disaster for the LPL squad. I feel like I can hear Froskurin off in the distance. And this is just
I think she'd be like muttering and shaking her head, being like, reverse sweep, reverse sweep, reverse sweep.
Korean, the Sandra noises.
No. We have our own as well. Cogmore is pretty interesting on the Chinese
Can you do it? Give us
no,
sound.
Absolutely not.
It's actually
Twitch chat's not ready
we're
for
not
that.
aliens.
100% not. But MVP, yeah, with that first blood, 1,400 gold advantage as well. And more importantly, the big CS differential now opens up in the mid lane for Ian. He's got to be feeling pretty good, as you said. Big win rate on the champion of Syndra. And Jiahu was the priority there for him on the Corki.
And the big thing for Xiaohu as well, his lane trading is rather weak. Going for the cleanse is his spell option of choice. It means he doesn't want to get ganked by the Elise and the Syndra, as the duo when they get them is pretty severe.
It's Elise, Syndra, Ashe, Poppy.
Yeah.
At some point you have to go cleanse, but you're right, he is frustrated at that reality.
And unfortunately for that reality, it means his laning phase doesn't have as good a trade as what a heal Syndra can do. And the small amounts of pressure start to mount from that.
Now Beyond needs to provide some pressure. Okay, we're going to have a party in the top lane.
Yep, ultimatum, but
Nice.
get out of here, Gragas. ADD.
Barrel's still
well,
hidden.
there's another one in from RNG because here comes Xiaohu. Can he get the last auto attack? He's tanking on this one. One more tower shot should not
Where's
drop
the
him.
Elise?
It's going to be close. but Beyond is nowhere to be seen.
Beyond could have been top lane, but just went for completing the red buff instead. Not in position to back up his teammate. Sure, Ian gets some damage on the mid lane turret, but they can rotate around that, and it felt like Beyond had the inside track to at least force a 1-for-1.
Big question mark, saying better red than dead, and why would you not just go top lane and save ADD?
This is not a question I have the answer to, but I'm often left flummoxed by decisions that MVP makes, so I'm not going to come here and give you a very roundabout way to why. I just would say it's a mistake.
That's all we're left really believing here. So unfortunately, that mistake will cost them a trade, but at the same time, you have to look at what was used to secure that one. MLXG, by throwing out his Qs, he gets knocked away, was lucky enough to get the slow, get the assist, and actually help Xiaohu to pick that kill up. It was a bit weird to watch, but the longest Q you've ever seen from a Gragas.
In the meantime, Ian has a casual 32 CS advantage on Syndra. Early magic penetration. Going to be answered by a null-magic mantle, but another slowdown of the build coming through from Xiaohu. And the carry pants that literally have been in the wash for all of summer season are suddenly within Ian's grasp.
Yep, it's going to have to be that X drinker at some point out from Xiaohu very early so he doesn't get just one comboed by Ian.
And that's the matchup as well. Corki into Syndra. You've always gone for the Hex Drinker before you complete your Trinity Force. It delays you by a few minutes on those spikes. And that's where Corki always wants to get that 1-item spike, the 2-item spike, and 3 when you're unstoppable. Good
news story. The trust fall between the top laner and jungle still has led to an invasion together, so at least the synergies there for the invade do take away the blue buff from Xiaohu, who has the cleanse, you noted, now also has to build for lane, doesn't have a blue buff. Things do start to stack up.
Yeah, take a look at this tower in mid lane, though. It's almost dead, and that's just been from the pressure from Ian. He got that first blood, and he's just relentless pressure.
Will fall.
Yeah, very, very soon, in fact. I mean, Xiaohu, yes, he got that one kill, accelerated him just a little, but there's still that massive farm lead, and he's constantly shoving in, constantly getting down this damage.
And you're perfectly happy to trade blue buffs between junglers when you have a lost chapter mid laner. For Ian, who already has that CS advantage, doesn't want to walk too far in.
MLXG's looking for it, but he also didn't get rid of the explosive plan, so at least has gank opportunities. Xiaohu right now, he's trying to bait this in, going for the control ward, but it is a bit far-fetched to consider that they would go for it. Ian doesn't have enough mana to all in.
Yeah, pretty much out of mana, and MLXG will actually just go back to his jungle. It's not really worth wasting too much more time. He's got his red buff up and the Raptors as well, so why not go for those? He's actually working his way towards Runic Echoes, in fact, this game on the Gragas.
We haven't really spoke about bot lane at all with all the action happening in other lanes. There is the Caitlyn advantage, we call it now. Casual 20 CS seems to frequently happen in those lanes. Rakan not giving any lane presence for the Ashe means that you are giving up 2 CS a minion wave and in general losing out, but MVP with the pressure being relieved for a second, with the buy coming through, we'll pick up the Ocean Drake, which, given the laning trades and also the mana-hungry nature of both Ashe when she's in a position where she's being denied,
even
and
Poppy,
the Poppy, you know, you're pretty happy to pick up a first-time Ocean, which you can count that on kind of a single hand when it comes to the current meta.
Spells good things. I mean, it's obviously not going to have the same impact as an Infernal or a Mounted Dragon as we get later into the game, but for now, we are still in the laning phase, and MVP will enjoy it in their own 1v1s and 2v2s in the bottom side. Let me also heading through the jungle of MVP. Just spot out Ian, just heading back to lane here.
And spots the control ward that he placed as well. So a nice little bit of knowledge gained by Letme. Of course, there's 2 control wards on that side of the map. The third one also being cleared by MLXG right now as the pick composition's coming out.
Arrow coming in, lands directly onto Ming, and he's knocked up as well. Quick kill there for Max. And MVP looking pretty happy.
You get the clean kill, like you say. Kill assignment over to Max, not ideal, but they'll take the pick anyway. Nothing that you can do when Ian is as accelerated as he is. They return to normalcy and they don't give up anything to pick up that kill.
And you'd say, unfortunately for MVP, the Drake was already gone, but this pressure mid lane still actually lets them go towards actually the diving mid.
MXG's coming in and does get the ultimate down, but Ian looking to around, takes a lot of damage, and actually sets back towards Zhao, who is quite happy with open arms to pick up that kill.
Really nice from MLXG.
Yeah.
Flawless mechanics, even with double summoners available. They take out Ian, and when it's a Syndra mid lane, 1 kill means so much more if you get both summoners. So now in a more comfortable position. As we're watching the trades top side.
Looking.
Oh, he's going to jump after ADD, and this does not look like a good trade for the Poppy. He needs to land this ultimate, and yes, he does, and saves his own life. But here comes MLXG. That was not a good time to recall. However, MLXG not going to go for the dive without the ultimate there. Locking on onto Maha in the bottom lane, but it's just going to land onto Max. So after all of that, feels like we're going to have a bit of a lull.
And keeping the pressure 2v2, they're actually still trying to go
Just
at
kidding.
it. Maha has the summoners, so they'll be okay. MVP are keeping them bottom as well, having the trade on the top side of the map, Beyond and the teleport from ADD.
Ultimately, it's a 2 versus 2, but ADD does not stop the top laner, though they do just slam
Nasty.
MLXG against the wall and just wipe him off the map.
And MLXG reads the gank around mid lane so well, and then doesn't respect it with steadfast presence. Doesn't matter where you are as a Gragas, you will die body blocked, and also the steadfast presence. So a donation over to the side of MVP.
And of course, one other thing to cap this off is that RNG at least have the teleport to go back top if they want to defend the turret, but now they have that in advantage to them. So MVP, the free gold, fantastic, going into the pocket of Beyond as well, but ultimately, it's just the gold.
But mention the fact that the person who died wasn't the top laner who can teleport back. It was the jungler who could have been spending his time denying CS waves to Ian in the mid lane.
Yeah.
He sees the jungle go down. That mid lane turret they prepared earlier, it's ready to go.
Triple collapse, but good flash in from
Very good
Xiaohu
flash.
means that he doesn't die to ADD. Arrow flies across, just in front of the eyes of MLXG. Though mid tower down, first tower of the game, and a mid lane tower to MVP.
I mean, we're going for the zoning Ashe play so far. Maha's also probably going for Essence Reaver as the build. Maybe Infinity Edge, which I must mention, he is an Infinity Edge first Varus player, so Ashe not going to be a huge surprise.
Gone
But
towards the dagger, so you'd have to say it's not the Essence Reaver. That'd usually be a long sword instead. Might be the BF sword into the Zeal.
I still don't understand the Infinity Edge first Varus, but if you're gambling, you know, we're in a game with a team called RNG, and he's putting his faith in the RNG.
Sure. I mean, luckily this time, oh, good reactions from ADD. He didn't even have a ward in that bush.
Maybe the hookshot reveals.
Yeah.
I think ADD, as a top laner, has really suffered this season because his effective champion pool wasn't the fighters. He wasn't a fighter player. He played Sion. He could play the tanks very well. He even introduced a Rumble that he was pretty good at. But the champions like the Kled, you know, the god moding of Cuvée and Xiang hasn't been replicated by ADD. And he was actually a very clean top laner you could look at and say, very dependable, he'll do his role, smart teleport player. You can see there that surely he does have some good reading of situations to so quickly be there with the steadfast presence. We saw Caitlyn draft, and these are the things you have to accept when those drafts come in.
And that's step one of the Caitlyn effect, unfortunately, for the side of MVP. But again, RNG, they can use that as presence. Thankfully, again, MVP, very much aware that turret was going, have swapped in advance to get some pressure and some control, at least with vision on the top side of the map.
They need to keep flowing on, because if they can keep the control wards down, Caitlyn casually strolls up, take another turret. Elise is there, Ashe is there, Syndra is there. This sort of comp can catch teams in rotation very cleanly. They're looking to get an advantage of their own. Turret's still very healthy, but Gragas, Caitlyn still screens away.
And it seems like a game where MVP takes more advantages, and it's not actually like we've just flipped this on its head. A lot of LCK teams we've seen today have been giving up these small objectives, and then it's like, when do they actually strike? But right now, it seems to be what RNG are doing.
And good opportunity to use Ian specifically as well for the side of MVP. He's got his Morellos completed. He's super strong with the Sork shoes. Corki, not quite at those item points, so they can use him as a pivot point, bring him around the map, secure objectives, and suddenly the Caitlyn lane is null and void because it's not just a 2v2.
This honestly feels like MVP really did their research, really understood what was strong about RNG on the blue side, took away the two comforts, the Thresh and the Jarvan, and even had the pocket answer to a Camille in the Poppy that should never die 1v1 unless Flash is up to flash the Keeper's Verdict. Lots of other incremental things have to happen for a Camille to hit Poppy enough times for a full tank build to actually kill the Poppy. So again, it's only 16 minutes in, but MVP can be proud of how they have researched RNG and what they've done so far.
Yeah, exactly. What they've done in the early game has been very good. Ian actually finding himself in top lane now against Xiao, who neither of them have TP. There's a dragon spawning in around 5 seconds, and both teams are actually converging on there, at least for the vision. You see MLXG just contesting this one against Max.
Walking up
forwards, he's looking like he wants the ultimate. Does land onto Max, but knocks him against the wall. Arrow in return. Lands onto MLXG. Can we get the damage? Root comes down onto Beyond. Teleport as well. In from Let Me.
The trouble was actually fake news in this situation because Syndra was topside and can't get there. They're trying to collapse onto ADD. They don't actually get him out of the Keeper's Verdict.
Good verdict. And the ultimatum does keep him in place though. Root comes in and ADD slowly gonna die to this one. Let Me looking for the follow-up. Does burn the flash, but that will eventually be the kill to Let Me.
Xiaohu even there to secure it just in case the kill didn't come about for the side of RNG. hard committal to ADD, still okay because the Drake's up and available. And unfortunately for RNG, when they tried to get that initial engage, they weren't able to use the cask and knock someone towards his team. So everything does just calm down that little bit more. Honestly, with only the pick, Drake now being looked at, but only really aggroed by MVP.
Yeah, MVP actually have mid-priority, and also RNG weren't comfortable enough to start it. So when it comes to objectives, it may just be the kill because of the complete time investment. Syndra walks down. You don't actually have vision in the area. You can't face check the Syndra bush. And against the run of play, it seems like MVP will pick up a Drake.
And for what it's worth, at the timing of that fight, not the Trinity Force for the Camille, only the Trinity for Xiaohu, and he wasn't there early enough. Anyway, this is the opportunity where things start to turn back the other direction. Yet, you know, from all of this, Maha is probably going to recall soon and actually get the Infinity Edge.
It's not been a stellar early game out from RNG. They have lost a lot. 2 dragons, but ADD once again caught out question mark as Maha and Max are behind him to protect him. So ADD will be fine with that one, going back towards the top lane. Herald is still an objective for the next just under 2 minutes now for these two teams.
How they use Syndra in this mid game, I think, will decide the game for MVP. He was in the side lane picking up farm. They got the Drake. That was fine. They walk over to Rift Herald. Honestly, the simple formula is if Syndra is at objective, good luck trying to contest it if you're RNG, unless all the vision work was done earlier. Sure, they do have advanced information that he's here, but they can't walk up. That's why there's another bonus for MVP.
And ADD can obviously just recall now, go back towards the bottom lane, defend from the Camille, because in part, I feel like that's where RNG are going to look towards. Now, starting to ramp up in those items, Poppy can handle Let Me extremely well by stacking all of the armor in the world, but there will hit a point, there will come a time where Camille just starts to outscale.
Unless there is that home run, because team fighting as a backup for Camille is there because of the Hextech ultimatum onto the Ashe, but home run hit there from the ultimate of the Keeper's Verdict can sequentially, or can situationally, sorry, be an answer. So there's a lot of what-ifs about this particular game as it flows on, but I agree. Anytime a Camille is getting free farm, you start to worry.
You can never put a value on the Keeper's Verdict. It could take multiple people out of a fight. Let Me is looking to trade here. He does have the Triforce.
He's got Gragas here as well, so that's
more people
great.
With him? Yes, he does. He has MLXG. Going to knock him into the wall once again, into this rubble of the tower. And with Y4 coming down, it seems like it will just be the quick kill onto AD. Knocks away Let Me, but they should have the damage now. They are looking to donate this one over to Y4.
They were trying to give it to the Caitlyn. It's going to take a little bit of time. Poppy gets the passive back as well. RNG on the opposite side of the map. Rift Herald still up and available for Beyond for MVP. They have the ability to make the trades, but he's down bottom to answer.
I mean, the awkward part is they kind of just sent multiple people to answer. It took forever to kill the Poppy. That could have been just stacking members in mid lane, putting down a Rift Herald, rotating with the Syndra in top. That's where you kind of see the recent plight of MVP, because when it came to the rock, paper, scissors, sure, multiple people were sent, and you're like, okay, how do you answer 3 people being sent to slowly kill a Poppy? You make something happen around the map, and now it's just
a Baron play?
It could be, or it could just be a timer on the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe that, again, by going towards that Herald bottom this early, he's got a little bit on the teleport. If they've timed this well, they know he'll answer, and they can immediately rush to the Baron pit.
It's a static Shiv BF sword coming through from the Ashe. It's a Poppy.
Yeah.
I think it was just a timer on the Rift Herald. I have to hope so.
I mean, it has 4 minutes on it, and it was taken just after 18 minutes, so it would have had a good 2 minutes left.
Wow. Well, you got the next level read. This is a next level by MVP, but RNG know what's up.
RNG are an LPL side, but this is getting smashed.
It's dying so quickly. We have MLXG over the wall, jumps over, and it's to confirm over to Beyond. Everyone converging on Gragas. He goes down. ADD protected in front lines and gets the slam against the wall as well. MVP making this happen. Xiaohu gets one, jumps over the wall. He's making a hero play for the LPL, but he is shut down by a stun from Ian.
MVP try to go for a super unconventional Baron. Great read there, Rusty. They just thought, okay, draw the Camille. We have an exact timer on the teleport. They rush it down. We've seen MVP do this before and lose a game from it. Backs against the wall. The rest of the coach is wondering, holy crap, they're trying this. It works.
Feels LPL inspired, honestly, Papa Smith. The MLXG throws the cast, flashes over so Poppy can't intercept it, and tries to get that steal. That was still a 50-50 in my eyes. as to how that was going to go, but an equal trade towards that in the end, and realistically the Baron means that MVP win that.
And MVP have a team that has gone on record, and this is something I actually hold against them, but to explain, have gone on record and said, we love having Baron steal opportunities, we're happy to rush it down, and we trust ourselves to secure it, which to me is like, just put down the damn vision and kill people, then take the Baron. But that's not how MVP play. They seem to like the rush of blood that comes around the Baron. They make the call, as you say, telegraphed by the Rift Herald. The items aren't even, that's not even a Blade the Ruin King Ash, which it certainly could have been. They pick it up, they get the maximum, but they're not a low reward. They're not, sorry, low risk, medium reward team. That's why they're different to other LCK teams. They're very much high risk, high reward.
Yeah. And we have a team like that too, Dan Gaming. And honestly, most of the time it does feel like a bit of a Dan's game play because you don't really want to see that. But hey, it worked out for MVP, so credit to them.
You still look towards what can they achieve with the Baron as ADD once again.
Get a pick needs to be the verdict, and it does get the stun on to Let Me. Does he have any help? They are quite a long way away.
He's alive.
The shield, dodge out of the arrow, and somehow he's still alive.
ADD bringing back the Poppy, getting collapsed on during a Baron buff. Okay, they bring all the reinforcements in, so they do actually succeed in delaying some of the Baron push. But on the other side, MVP, ADD not dying, piling on health items. Actually has the random ones complete as well. His job is to run at Corki and Caitlyn and waste as much time as possible.
But remember who he kicked out of that gank onto him as well. Going for the magic damage dealer of Xiaohu when you've stacked armor is the perfect way to survive the rest of the gank. Does it excellently to keep himself alive. And you're right, the reinforcements, they come in. But they're still set up close enough to the Drake, and it's an Infernal.
Infernal definitely a fortunate spawn when there's already plenty of items onto Ian, and Maha has the 2-item spike himself. MVP will not win the game with Vision. They're not that sort of team. They are different to other teams in the LCK. They're happy to force fights. Infernal's definitely going to be a fight point.
And you know, I will be that guy for a second and say that Xiaohu's currently 3-0-1, and once he gets the Infinity Edge, you can't help but feel like there's not a lot that'll stop his damage output if he's free to actually connect that one. RNG, they've kicked this
off.
off.
Going to be a contestant. This might just come in from MLXG. This is good. Beyond needs to just back away from this one, lest Ian can find a stun, but that's exactly what RNG needed.
During a Baron buffed MVP who should have control of the minion waves, they push mid, they even get some chip damage, and they take the Infernal Drake from underneath MVP as they watch it happen. I mean, that's just brilliant that they're able to secure it at all.
Yeah, like against the runner play, like you say, a little bit of disrespect, but the same thing, kind of a like for like with MVP and their force on Baron, gives them Infernal on a team that craves Infernal Drake. Massive scaling across Let Me, Xiaohu, and Y4 is a big payoff in that particular regard. This time, here's the invasion, though.
Looking to try and get this pick onto MLXG, just get the knock-up, but everyone else as well really wants this blue buff, smited away by MLXG, so MVP do get the invade off, but not much more.
Felt like a body slam interaction perhaps from MLXG there whilst getting charmed. He still covers the distance. There wasn't anything to close on him. And he gets the blue buff, but it does mean the blue buff doesn't go to Xiaohu, and you'd still be happy with that at the very least if you are MVP.
For now, he does still spam those spells a bit later before he just really wants to get those auto attacks out. And we're 25 minutes into this game. MVP still do have the gold lead, though. It looks like we are looking for a initiate mid lane. If we could see any stragglers from MVP, and I just feel like even if you're supporting MVP or RNG, both sides have their hands on their heads. Like, no one is quite happy with how this early game has gone. Being quite messy. It's not been pretty. But that being said, both teams are in a situation to win this game still.
I mean, I'm a reasonable man. I will take this from MVP. My expectations were pretty minimal. They played well so far.
Oh, that's one going over the wall. Xiaohu does have to flash this one. Repel comes in, but you have to feel he's a dead man. And indeed he is, put 6 feet under by Beyond.
Now, Camille is in the top lane getting her split push on. What will MVP do after the pick? First instincts, based on what's happening in the map, is a very minimal thing. So they need to actually translate a very nice pick onto Xiaohu. Both of Xiaohu's summoners being down may be relevant for a future fight, but a pick into no objective is something we've criticized many teams for already this week. It's a step, but it's not a huge step forward.
Yeah, and you want to say that pick, perfect for Drake, perfect for Baron. Everything's been taken, though. There's no outer turrets remaining for MVP to look towards. And so, yes, they get the pick. And yes, Xiaohu is well overextended. But you're right, the biggest advantage they'll get from that is another fight in a minute when Xiaohu comes back. And a fight that's more meaningful towards winning a team fight, not just the pick.
RNG setting up teleport wards for ADD could be the big thing for them. Now Xiaohu is someone who can be taken out. Corki back in the meta, Steadfast Presence does interrupt the Valkyrie. See the contest onto the red buff. MXG knows what's up.
Yeah,
He sure does.
But unfortunately, Syndra exists.
Ash is out of position for this.
We are okay. It was just the steal here, and that goes over to Beyond, courtesy of the Venomous Bite. So 6-6 now in terms of kills. Next Dragon's Infernal, remember. Both teams will want to fight over that.
And this is well timed as well with the next Baron spawning if Syndra wants to go and get the blue buff. Of course, staying with the team now for pressure is the correct way to play this. Xiaohu, no summoners. Close side of the map to the Baron, but he's not going to be able to immediately rotate. It's not the teleport corkies that we've been seeing.
And it's not the sort of Caitlyn game that we saw specifically from J-Team where they could push up and they didn't have to respect because of the collapse, because of all the initiations. It hasn't been a free map, and although it's a happy 27 CS lead and some kills, it hasn't been PvE Caitlyn that is the cleanest way to win League of Legends right now.
Yeah, BB was definitely having the PvE game of his life last time we saw it.
And this actually gets me a little bit looking at Xiaohu's items. He's gone straight towards the QSS whilst he has the cleanse, so he's foregone the fact that his cleanse will compensate for that fact. Didn't go the Hex Drinker to survive through the Syndra ultimate as an example. He has chosen to have multiple cleanses to distance himself the entire time and be able to consistently put out that damage. But I mean, we just mentioned the risk of it, right?
I guess the theory there is, Baron spawns. He doesn't have cleanse for 60 seconds. Let's say that the cleanse and the QSS gets him out of dying. If they get another Baron here, MVP, they should be able to crack the base. And we've already noted their frustration at getting the harder objectives after getting the easier one has counted against them. They haven't been playing their side lanes very well. They've been focused on just fighting. Baron buff is their rumble pit. They are happy to start this Baron again and force a smite war or try and interrupt it. So having the extra cleanse, it does slow down damage. It's not a BF sword or a Zeal in that spot. But it feels like Xiaohu's saying the game is going to be decided now.
And by no means a bad decision, just a decision that maybe could have been optimized, but you're right, for the immediate moment where he doesn't have the cleanse, it's a viable strategy with the Baron.
But you're frustrated either way, right? You're behind to 2,100 gold. You can call it 3,300 gold if you want to really run down what the QSS is giving. If the Zeal could have given a crit versus if the QSS was there, it's something you're going to evaluate in the future. Here we go.
MXG wants this to happen. Let me just waiting on a wall, perching there. Good flash.
Yeah, Ian had to flash away, so now is going to be at the mercy of MXG, who still has flash open himself. Honestly, opening up onto the Gragas is now going to be a big thing for MVP, because otherwise Syndra can't walk up.
However, ADD definitely is. He tries to, but the big shield and the big movement speed boost from Ming will get them out alive there. MVP are still circling around like vultures around this area, just trying to take away these wards, set up this next Baron. The Baron,
if they see Camille, they're just going to rush Baron. This is the MVP way.
They're waiting. Still waiting. And the pick up position.
And in comes Max looking for the Taunt. Just managed to get it. And actually massive ultimate. And Whitefall detonates the support. ADD looking for the disengage now. Ultimately is a support for a jungler. In comes Let Me. Has the ultimatum still. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but jungler down.
And jockeying with the inside now. They've got the middle lane. They've got the potential dragon that's going to be there. Beyond, they can still threaten the Baron if they'd like. But a lot of the vision even was cleared away. So RNG, they do well, but they do force the teleport MVP.
ADD stepping up to Let Me. He's stopping him from hookshotting away as Beyond buys him some time to catch up. Cocoon also lands. Need just not to be a pick here for RNG. Xiaohu providing covering fire does allow him to get out. Again, ADD blocking that last shot. So for now, this is just a 1v1 successful evacuation.
And what will MVP do next? Infernal Drake has just spawned as a much easier objective. They don't actually have any vision investment in Baron because it's MVP. Unfortunately, this is the way it goes. So a free Infernal Dragon is something they can claim that's straightforward, that's easy. They'll buy a couple more control wards, and they'll try the Baron party again.
And RNG are walking over towards the objective, but you'd have to imagine two Leandri's Torments. It will be smashed down very quickly. No real chance of the contest there from RNG, but still they've got the middle lane. They can push mid, they can move over to the Baron, and suddenly by going for the Infernal, the opportunity's there.
Now they walk up and smite it, so RNG might just go for Baron because they know that smite should be down for Beyond. They'll have another charge, but they're going to set up around the Baron, at least try and force out the counter teleport from ADD.
He left the Scryer's Orb as well. He's looking to actually get a cheeky body slam before using it, but he'll get out alive perfectly fine.
That's a good mind game, actually.
Clever idea.
In the end,
I like it.
Everyone's sitting around walls. I feel like MVP have an inkling this hasn't been started yet. Yeah, ward over the wall. And Max will spot them out on this one as RNG look to back off.
So I want to start theory crafting about the build from ADD here because it's probably going to be jumping into the Gargoyle Stone Plate, very obviously now, with the Chain Vest and the Negatron Cloak. I wonder if Locket will be the last item to basically try to negate an insane amount of health. Poppy will find 3 people around her in a team fight. That's just how Poppy fights. If you can negate Burst, that might actually allow them to keep fighting, because I've been surprised by so many people not looking towards the Locket and Stoneplate synergy that, okay, situationally can be gimmicky, but Poppy will find the middle of a team fight.
Yeah, definitely possible, yet I think if I look at the completed items, he doesn't necessarily need the Locket to keep his team alive. Max will have that. I'd argue maybe he goes towards the Knight's Vow, opposing that to still have the armor, still have the supporting of the rest of his team, whilst also being a tank.
Yeah, MLXG has already jumped on that one as well, and has Xiaohu or Y4 situationally to place it on.
Just because the damage is so consistent from RNG, you don't really need more than one Locket, you wouldn't think.
Looking pretty engaged here. Let me goes very deep, but Max simply just jumps away. MLXG is off to the side as well, and still no summoners, remember, on Ian and beyond. So there is a pick potential, though. In the bottom lane, AD is just pushing away, and that requires a response from Let Me, and he has no teleport.
Yeah, exactly right. Teleport advantage for ADD. His job now, Let Me, is to stop the Poppy from teleporting, so they'll be fighting each other the whole time. Looks like he wants to go for the 1v1 in that bottom of your screen, but RNG, they need to deal with what MVP will throw at them as a result of this.
Going for the long chase here, charging up the Verdict. Does miss, and Let Me opens up the potential for a hook shot, forces the flash from ADD. It's going to be a very long chase. Let Me flash it in as well. Has the ultimatum, comes back down. He knows ADD doesn't have the Verdict now. Long range on the assistance, and as the redemption comes down, ADD is saved.
He will live in this case, but had to use his flash. Traded flashes overall. RNG still want this.
Definitely looking. Again, they've got the mid lane. MLXG!
Everyone jumps in. Big ultimate in from the Gragas. What
Ian's
will
dead.
mean? That will be the kill onto Ian. Max trying to back away from this one. The rest of his team, they take out Y4 and MLXG, but they still have a carry. Xiaohu chasing down beyond. Gets the crit. Big damage, and Let Me finds the kill.
So it ends up being a 2-for-2 across both sides. RNG really wanted it, but answering here with their jungler. Both junglers being down means no Baron threat. The Drake is not alive either. Somehow, with all that action, we return to normalcy.
This game just keeps teetering between getting the big advantage, not getting the big advantage. MLXG is able to kick this one off with the body slam engage. Big tool for RNG used straight into the loving hands of Xiaohu.
That was
the exhaust.
Absolutely sick. Haunter-esque and his engage earlier today. We're watching the replay though. The fact that Maha could pick up 2 answering kills here is what completely spares the blushes of the side of MVP. Somehow, after that piece of beauty, it's a 2-for-2.
MVP obviously now jockeying around the Baron, but I cannot help but say after that, seeing MLXG, yes, he's 0-5, and engage like that, I'm still so confident in that guy, even with his KDA aside.
Here, keeping tabs around the Baron. Syndra wasn't able to be there. Syndra herself at 3 items. MVP, again, they want to fight around Baron. They are happy to force fights. The bottom lane has never really been a true area of contention.
Right now, Xiaohu sat on triple items as well, so he's getting big. I say getting big, he's already big.
He is massive.
He's going to do so much damage to MVP. He was the carry that managed to stay alive in the last fight, which managed to confirm the final kill there, but it's just so damn close. 35 minutes on the clock. MVP 2,000 gold lead. And honestly, this game could go either way. MVP also picked up that last Infernal Dragon, so even on combat stats when it comes to dragons, the next one will be Elder in just a minute and a half. Baron has been on this board for a good amount of time now.
And you're always looking to what MVP are doing right now. It's a pick composition. It's a Syndra, Ashe, Elise. They'll always try and lock you down. ADD, he's got his teleport. He's here, though, because he knows he can't 1v1 Let Me. So he'll eventually have to answer that. Camille is constantly going to be a threat and pester them, but RNG's job is to prevent the Baron from being started, if possible, through vision control, to then let the Camille break the structures and basically win the game alone.
So MVP have drawn in 80. They were looking for a quick pick, and then the Baron, while Camille was invariably going to eventually ignore the damage from 80 and take structures. In this case, 80 not there. Structure goes over for free. MVP, it feels like they're almost at a breaking point because they're starting to feel the pinch. They need to make another pick happen, but there's not that many opportunities.
And who do you pick as well at this stage? You've got Camille, who's going to be in a side lane. You've got 2 QSSs now available. You'd be looking towards the Karma or the Gragas, and Gragas has been dying a lot as a result of that. But there's only so many times you're going to be able to kill what is now a fairly tanky jungler.
Yep. And if Ming is nearby, he's going to allow you to get away as well. The shield and the speed up. You can see ADD actually answering Let Me.
Sweepers are down from MVP, so they will start face checking. They'll find the control ward.
Yep, they haven't found Gragas just yet. He's a sneaky
Teleport
Batman.
ward is there
They
for
see him
Camille.
now. Jumps over the wall. Back to his team. It's quite limber, despite his size.
Yeah, managed to get out completely uncontested. In part, I feel like they were looking for him, but also on the other end of that, they don't feel comfortable not knowing where he is because of the threat of the steal.
Yeah.
Once again, that doesn't feel very MVP-esque, Papa Smithy.
I think they're starting to really understand the position, and we are too. With 37 minutes into the game, where if MVP lose, RNG will represent the LPL, and the LPL will actually win the inaugural Rift Rivals, which would be kind of an amazing thing given how big favorites LCK came in. And that's why it feels like another Baron goes over, that's probably the victor. Another team fight goes the way, whichever way, that's probably the victor. So we're right on this point where the game should be decided very shortly. And
they've kicked off the Baron.
Okay.
That Baron's pretty fast,
they've
by the way.
spotted it out. Yeah, they're taking it
Teleports
very
are in, they're ready for the fight.
Xiaohu stepping up,
worth
MLXD
it?
here as well. Everyone circling right around the Baron. Who's going to get it?
Elise
It will be
gets
over
it.
to Beyond. Xiaohu jumps out of this one. Just how the cleanse coming out. It's Ian with the ultimate. That's the kill on MLXG. Chasing down RNG now. Returning this with the damage. Let me jumps onto Beyond. Gets to assassinate. Meanwhile, the backline is stunned up. ADD doing a great job of being a front line. Both junglers have been traded, but it's the Baron to MVP.
Yeah, the Baron does go out. They do manage to rush it down for a
Straight to the
second
Elder.
there. We're able to get. They could just go straight to Elder like you mentioned, Rusty. And he had to get the assassination flash out. Both junglers are dead, so it's an option, but it seems like MVP, think better of it.
At the very least, get the vision around the area. Don't let RNG make a trade. Camille, very well to get a trade there for Let Me, but ultimately committing to the Baron. A lot of this, to me, still comes back to the lack of Hex Drinker for Xiaohu. Syndra just presses R and is still relevant in the fight on other flanks.
Yeah, the choice between the QSS and the Hex Drinker against Syndra has always been something that's been scrutinized. You understand both camps. I'm definitely in the more Malmortius camp, but you can sort of get that because there's so much stacking CC here. Xiaohu's going to rely on the outplay, and he's been wonderful this tournament, specifically on the Corki. He'll still have his flash up. The flashes are at a premium. Maha, ADD. Xiaohu, the big ones, but Waifu has his too.
MSG looking for this initiate, but again, a great steadfast presence. This puppy pick has been working out surprisingly well for ADD and MVP, stopping these engages or even starting them.
Double Abyssal Mask is pretty damn curious from both ADD and Beyond. We're on 7-12 before it builds out a Catalyst and can become a laning item. So surprised to see the completion on both, but it does mean that Ian is more likely to have the amplified magic damage.
And minions are about to start taking some structures in the top side of the map as well that might need to be answered. MVP, they're using the minion waves, they're using the Baron buff. RNG looking for fights.
Pulling the trigger, but ADD simply runs away from them. In top lane will crash, and it will probably take that tower. There's no TP to answer it.
ADD happy to keep hurting people away from the top side. RNG seem to have given up on the potential of defending that turret.
They've set up the traps though.
Yeah, it has been warded out. Full vision over to MVP. ADD stepping up, does have the Keeper's Verdict, needs to hit as many people as he
got
can. Interrupted. Jumps in, and that's a smite secure by MLXG. Big damage onto Ming, but he just face tanks it, turning this one around. ADD taking a lot of damage. Oh my god! Xiaohu does so much damage.
Let me looking.
Big damage, but big heal as well. Storm against the wall, and he doesn't go down just yet. ADD needs to evacuate. That's the kill onto Let Me. Can we get the turnaround now from MVP?
Waifu's free hitting.
Should be dropping it, but he flashes away. Ian, massive stun, but he will jump away. Waifu doesn't get the crit, and RNG just against them this day. Ace the hole flies against Maha, but it is a 2-for-1 trade. MVP.
I couldn't tell if the flash auto was actually cancelled the last possible second. Looked like it because it didn't actually do any relevant damage to Ian. It's just a 1-for-2, but the crucial factor there is that Elder Dragon is down on 2, and MVP get out relatively unscathed.
And you have to think about all of the summoners used in the situation. ADD gets cancelled by MLXG's ultimate. That's now gone at the start of this. Syndra uses the ult on Ming to try and stun everybody.
And then you see the answering damage, like, holy crap, this could be the moment for RNG.
Nasty.
But Let Me is expertly interrupted and does basically nothing in this fight. Maha and Waifu both free hitting.
And the best way to play that out in future for RNG is to ult straight away if you Let Me. Don't actually even go through the full E, as that flash did actually hit, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just did nothing.
Looked like it, but it was so many close calls, so many blinking red health bars.
Could have even been the
and
locker.
people managed to survive from that one.
Rakan pressing E.
Interesting. Interesting that it did not take him down with as much as was stacked there, but all we can really take stock of is the fact that it was a 2-for-1 overall. MVP have taken the Baron off the map twice now. But still, you look down your survey, you say, okay, have they broken the base? And the answer is far from it. They're still playing very narrow, pretty transparently. And Let Me is getting only stronger.
And what's crazy about this is MVP, they make the big plays, they get the Baron, but it feels like as a team, they are so committed to getting the ace after the Baron, like they have to force the fight, expecting RNG to come and take it. But because these fights equalize enough, RNG go over, they get the Elder, and the same thing applies, and we do just keep meeting in the middle with these big objectives going down.
And at the best of times, MVP haven't been a team to prep sideways very well, and it almost feels like they were like, okay, Camille, she's great at sideways, let's not bother with either, even though you could be playing at least one side lane where the Camille isn't. So they're playing a very defined, just get a team fight victory. And because the team fights have been nose ahead, nose ahead, nose ahead for MVP without necessarily a win, it feels like when RNG, if they can finally win a fight, they'll take multiple objectives and perhaps take the game out of MVP's grasp.
Yeah, it's like how much do they need to take for MVP for them actually to take more from it from the preceding play. And MNXG 0-7-9 doesn't really tell the tale when he's really been getting his fantastic initiates off.
He almost
for
has
RNG.
to die for the fight to be successful.
It's got to
for
be the
RNG,
martyr.
because he's going into so much damage every single time.
Maha's doing a fantastic job as well. He's been manning up the back lines. Only died once this game. Has been putting out so much damage. Probably see that in the damage graphs after the game as well. And MVP back foot once more. Waiting out this Elder Dragon, of course, pretty much gone by this point in time.
Maha went for Bloodthirster and doesn't actually have item slot for any sort of armor penetration.
Yep.
So he will actually find it relatively tough without focus fire from teammates. It almost feels like turn on to the first target and then 5v4, Maha will be strong. But if he's actually trying to fight front to back, he's quite weak.
He's trying to outlive and outlast the opponents of RNG here. They've got the lockets, they're trying to survive through the Syndra burst, and the consistent damage that comes out of MVP, even without the armor penetration specifically from Maha, does feel like it should be enough, but the MR is starting to get stacked up. Letme's getting towards that as well with his completed items. Very difficult to take them out without that last Whisper.
And so if we were looking at MVP and trying to evaluate them on the terms of other teams at this time, specifically other LCK teams, it would be, let's play around the top wave, push that in, ward up the enemy blue buff, and then the Baron that we know MVP really wants will have an air of security around it. It'll have another option of being with a minion wave pushed in, but it's been minion wave pushed in time and time again from the side of RNG bot lane, and nothing from MVP. No visit at all to the top side. And I wish this was a situational oversight, but unfortunately, it's kind of the playbook for MVP.
Baron is spawning in 15 seconds. He Let Me on the bottom side. Both TPs available for both teams. Let Me actually beelining over towards the mid lane. See if we can get the flank off actually onto MVP, who are pushing up. I have to feel that the sparks will fly around this next Baron.
Letme's also pressuring the bottom lane, so he's in the correct position on the map. Once again, Y4 and RNG, their responsibility is to sit there, clear waves, have vision, poke them down, but don't let them force the Baron start, because then Camille can start to be a big threat. Alternatively, of course, they can bring the Camille in straight away and try and get the team fight before Poppy can be teleporting into the fight. The pick's always possible in that situation, but it does feel like ADD is diffusing most of that.
Yeah, beyond getting tankier, actually gives another option to MVP because they peel off the Baron with flash.
RNG are kicking this off.
I mean,
No,
MLXG has. No one else wants to.
Not seriously.
All right, mate.
He's
Gragas
calmed
popping
down.
it for.
But the peel off here when Rakan has flash is pretty immense. So if they didn't require Poppy to tank up Baron, that'd be big for them.
And here's what we were talking about as well with Let Me rotating around. He was looking towards mid lane, definitely a gankable position for a Gragas and a Camille to work on. But the second Poppy says, hey guys, Let Me's obviously missing, they do show respect. They do back away MVP.
Well, they don't have any vision, really at all, almost, Rusty.
Yeah.
At the moment, they have nothing around the Baron apart from a couple of wards in the general area. The pick comp is playing in the open lane, which is more the terrain of the side of RNG. They're going to walk up to the turret, and MVP's out of position.
Big damage onto Xiaohu, but at the same time, Ian also takes a big chunk himself from Y4 and courtesy of Xiaohu. Mid tower does drop. Nice little rotation there from RNG, leveraging the pressure they have from Let Me in the bottom side.
And Xiaohu going back to base. It's going to be elixir time, you would have to imagine, for the side of both of these teams. It feels like it's mounting up now, Pulse. It feels like we're hitting that one team fight to determine if the LPL wins Rift Rivals.
And that's just so scary for both sides. 46 minutes on the clock, and when it comes down to a single fight, the hopes and dreams of the LCK making it to a Game 5 and winning this tournament rest on MVP's shoulders on a single team fight. RNG, if they win this, take it for the LPL. I mean, a win here for the LPL over LCK in an international tournament would be absolutely insane.
And you mentioned the mounting items, and for me it's the mounting dread, because MVP are now playing a pick comp with a vision disadvantage, and you feel they're one face check away from the game ending. So finding a way to actually assemble any vision at all. I'm not asking for a lot of MVP.
Of course,
anything around the Baron, because suddenly the Baron looks like a free objective for the side of RNG.
Xiaohu's got his package. Caitlin's at 6 items again. There's just so much to be afraid about if you're MVP.
Package comes up, and he's zoning the heck
They're
out of MVP.
almost die just getting vision
Max
down.
taking so much damage. Big
Look at
shot
Beyond's
shell
health.
towards him. You get a bit of healing out from the Redemption, but they are knocked away. Beyond cannot contest. What an ultimate from MLXG.
Just a lovely setup
They're
on one
engaging
side.
with the
Maha's caught out, but good knock by ADD with a counter initiate. See if we can get in range. The flash comes out. MLXG does not activate this one. It's not in range, but the body slam.
Xiaohu's dangerous.
Let me just get the slowdown to Ian. Lots of damage. He has to flash away. And Xiaohu, in the end, with that massive crit, almost spells the end of Ian's
But they're
life.
recalling, so you just push mid lane right now. You've got the minions. That's the inhibitor, surely.
They have to give it up. There's nothing else they can do here, MVP. No one dying was a bonus, but the Baron was expertly set up by the side of RNG. They don't need the control words. They don't need necessarily the pick initiation. They just outthink MVP, and now they rotate to top.
Let's see if that prophecy from earlier, Papa, rings true for RNG right here. We'll see if they can take more off of this objective, because when we've seen the Baron and the Elder Dragons go over to MVP, they haven't been able to take that much outside of picks, outside of kills. RNG now crack open the mid lane, look towards the top, but will smartly go back to base.
And that's the big thing for me, right? For the first time in this game, RNG have the Baron. They have the ability to set up the minion waves, control the map, and just look at the damage that Xiaohu does here. Watch Max's health.
And now Xiaohu is a cleanse, flash, Mercurial Scimitar Corki. He can run interference. Max and Beyond almost die just getting a ward on the Baron, not even contesting a great disengage cast from the man whose KDA hasn't worked, but his play with the ultimate specifically has worked. Speaking of ultimates, ADD bails Maha out of the game ending. This is where RNG are in supremacy. This is the weaknesses of MVP as a team. I feel like everything is being showcased at the same time, and the end result is one more team fight from RNG, and it should be that LPL victory.
And ADD is having a phenomenal performance as well. You don't look at the scoreboard and say, this is how they're winning the game, RNG. You've got his 1-5 Poppy, that work that Poppy has done in this. You'd feel bad looking at a 1-5 scoreline. RNG now, though, they're still pushing.
Dennis knocked back onto the minions, trying to clear these out for MVP right now. Xiaohu stepping up. Look at the damage in from the two ADCs. Oh my god, that's gone. Moving on to the inhib now, trying to take this one away. Max coming out, does get a big charm out onto RNG. Can they make this work? No, Max is stunned in place. The damage is massive from Xiaohu. He steps up, looks towards the in right now. And for now, it's a 4 versus 5. MVP looking for the defense.
Game could just end here, though. This is the point. They're all pulling back. Wait for these Nexus turrets. They're coming under fire.
No Max, no engage. ADD is teleporting. It's a big flank pulse.
Last chance saloon for MVP. ADD starts it off. In comes Beyond as well. Maha tries to get in range. This is a front-to-back team fight. Nice stun out there from Ian as well. And now it's the disengage from RNG. They want this tower. They want the objectives. They'll play this smart.
Very commendable from RNG. Don't get obsessed with the fight. You get the teleport. Take all 3 inhibitors down. Use the Baron. Use the minions. End the game in a standard way.
And the Baron buff so expertly used by RNG. MVP picked up 2 Barons and cracked 0 inner turrets, let alone getting in on an inhibitor. Now, the math doesn't check out there from MVP, and now RNG can just go back and pick up an Elder on the backside.
That's only more good things for RNG right now. 50 minutes into this game, almost an hour on the clock. And RNG will get themselves another dragon in the form of a second Elder Dragon for themselves. They'll go back to base once more, and it's pretty much just full item builds across the board, but not just for RNG. Look towards MVP, and they're pretty much full built themselves. It will be one more team fight, but massive advantage now to RNG. They had the Baron, they still have the Baron, they have the Elder Dragon. It seems difficult to say that they could let the game slip away from them now.
And we're almost at the Mountain Zonia's point for Gragas. That's how late in the game we're going to be. He's gone towards his arm guard. Almost there. We're pretty much past full items for everybody except him, you'd feel like. And we are at that elixir purchase mark. Elder Dragon secured, 3 inhibitors down, minions. You don't have to control your sideways. You just corral them in as they start to help you try and end the game.
And I want to say I'm disappointed by MVP, but I can't really be. They did draft smartly. They did find themselves in a position to take 2 Barons against a team that looked much more impressive than them over the course of the week. But unfortunately, if you're playing a pick comp and you're drawn into open spaces because you stopped having ward supremacy, even in your own red buff area, but let alone around the Baron, advance from there. Their vision could never move forward because they never played their side lanes enough to actually take inner turrets, and in the end, they're drawn into the open, and in the open, it's a killing field for RNG.
And here we go, the package secured, blue buff there, RNG, they're looking to make that final team fight, get themselves the victory.
They don't even need to fight. Maybe it's PvE time, Rusty.
Straight away, they should be engaging MVP as these minions crash. There's no other choice but for Max to use the quickness, go forwards.
And it's going to be ADE to start this one. Here comes Max as well. Gets a good charm off, but MLXG stalling out the front line. Beyond as well. Ian doing what he can. Let me jumps up to the back line. He will be going down, but he does have the Guardian Angel. RNG are losing this fight. Turn around as well. The kill onto Ming. Great arrow for Maha. And Beyond goes deep as well. 2 for 1 trade, but they are wounded. MVP do have to back away.
They're going to give up their health bust. Let's see who can walk back. Maha can still stand up in the first Nexus turret under fire.
Y4, yeah, he's putting the chip damage down, but ADD stepping forwards, middle inhib, respawns, and miraculously MVP stay alive.
Exactly what they needed to do. We said Max has to go forwards. He becomes the hero with ADD and is able to survive through all of that. Beyond is the only person in the team who overreaches just that little bit extra.
And if you talk about a summoner trade, only Beyond flashed in that particular fight. 3 flashes on the side of RNG, and this was all done with Max not having flash of his own, just finding a chance grand entrance. Will it actually be a turning point? Well, watch the replay. They were desperate for an engage. You have to funnel up. First, it was ADD, but then Max comes in, and this was the Wombo engage that had been denied for so long.
Absolutely. Even the redemption to keep ADD healthy. Let me, whilst he hits the backline, he's got the Guardian Angel. It doesn't really indicate that he's going to be able to kill anybody.
Maha actually just saved the Ash Arrow for a long time, even after Hextech Ultimatum was already used, just slammed it into Karma and killed her very quickly. So MVP, make the best of what was obviously an abysmal situation for them and buy more time.
Absolutely. That's the key word, right, Papa Smithy? They buy more time for themselves. They're still stuck within their base, and the Baron is a lot easier to end the game with than the Elder Dragon if you're using the minions, using the 3 inhibitors as your way into the game.
If I know MVP, they want to go out with an attempt at a Baron steal. They're not going to wait for a 5v fight in the base. This team has lived and died on the Baron for so long. Realistically, it's the percentage play to hang back and try to play around the Nexus turrets, but they're not going to play that.
But again, it's just not like this moment, one after another. Why are we here again? Why are we at the Baron?
And RNG don't need to start this Baron. The minions are pushing bottom wave. Just play the patient game now, just that little bit more. Of course, it's RNG. They're not going to go full patience mode, but they are slowing it down.
The second inhibitor does respawn, so the minions will be delayed at least for a while, killing that. Let's see what MVP decide to do. RNG trying to split them between 2 bad decisions.
ADD is gone.
Yep. Comes back to base. Tau almost dead. These Superminions are going to
and now RNG should do the Baron. They should at least force the teleport.
Blasting Cone in. They're going to do it fast.
They do a lot of damage at this point in time with 2 ADCs. Can we
Keep
get
your eyes on Max.
Can we look at Max looking for the initiate, but it doesn't land onto anybody. RNG do get the Baron. TP forced by ADD. Let me
He's teleporting into the base.
They need to try and stop these recalls right now from MVP.
He's going to end the game right now.
He's going to be able to. They're going to stop the recalls. Corky's so good at doing this. This is how Rift Rivals ends.
Oh my god, they need to chase them down, but Lemmy does so much damage. The minions coming in as well.
Done it.
The Titans are being cut down. RNG do it. They take the Nexus.
It was in the most MVP versus RNG fashion you could have asked for. MVP in the scenario with where they are in the regular season did their region proud, but they were not good enough. And over the course of the day, 3 teams fall for the LCK and the LPL. They're the inaugural Rift Rivals champions.
Who would have expected the LPL slaying the LCK on the final day of the 2017 Rift Rivals? They have done the impossible. They have taken down LCK.
And they barely made it here through the LMS. It went to 5 games and they went the distance. RNG honestly become the superstars of the tournament.
Of course it had to end in a way like that with a backdoor coming in from Let Me.
This series was a lot of next levels in the pick ban. I said leave open Caitlyn, they did that. MVP played a prototypical pick comp, pushed up, tried to make things happen, but RNG, better team on the day. Their Baron was the big difference between the two teams.
Absolutely unreal. A crazy end to a crazy series, but it was set up for them. The dominoes were set up. RNG came into a matchup that they should have won, and they did it in the end. But MVP, they put up a hell of a fight. We're going to send it over to the analyst desk to take a look at that game and close up the day. Take it away, Atlas.
Thank you very much, Pulse, and what an incredible game. MVP out to such a phenomenal start, but in the end it was all RNG. MLXG, despite the scoreline, making the plays. We knew this guy was in form. All of the puzzle pieces fit together, and RNG are going to crown LPL the Rift Rivals champions.
And yeah, it was RNG that ultimately dropped the axe on the LCK, but huge props to the two teams before them that set them up for victory. EDG, after a very turbulent start to this tournament, pulled it through, took down Samsung, and Team WE went face-to-face, head-to-head with SKT to prove that LPL didn't just get this because of how the teams aligned. They went through the best to be the best.
Yeah, and it was RNG that was honestly the only LPL team in this whole set that was favored to win their matchup, and MVP took it to them. But it was such a dream to be able to look at this and say EDG taking down Samsung after the last time they played Samsung, playing so well mid to late game. It was EDG that came out so far ahead, and then WE taking down the gods. What happened, Frosk?
The gods bleed. That's what happened. And the thing is like, I'm still in shock, frankly. I was sitting upstairs. You guys saw this.
I know.
55 minutes into this game, I had the RNG jacket on. I'm taking it off. I'm like, no, there's no way. Ian's coming back on the Syndra.
No. I'm sorry. I need to correct you there, Frosker. And you were upstairs saying, nope, LPL's not going to win.
It's not going to happen.
MVP's already won. Don't worry, it's all over.
Yep.
She was the most negative because she wasn't ready to believe. She's believed so many times, and this was the first time in a very long time that you've been rewarded for the belief, and you weren't even there. You weren't even behind them the whole way.
And that's the thing. You know, I've casted the LPL longer than anyone else. I've gone through the turbulent ride, 2015. Everyone reminds it. And frankly, the LPL's performance at international events has been decayed by their legacy because they haven't been showing up.
But we do have a closing ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate the LPL victory.
Hello everyone. 恭喜我们的 LPL.
Let's congratulate LPL for their win.
首届2017我们的亚洲对抗赛的冠军，掌声给我们的 LPL.
A huge round of applause.
哇，真的是非常非常的不容易。那当然呢，紧接着马上就要来进行我们今天的颁奖仪式，在这边邀请到我们的颁奖贵宾，首先要邀请到的是我们的 Riot Games 台湾与东南亚区电竞与行销总监 Cody Chen， 掌声欢迎 Cody。
So we'll have someone giving them the
同时呢，也要欢迎的是我们 Riot Games 台湾与东南亚区总经理 Wenli， 掌声欢迎 Wen。
the CEO of Riot Games coming in.
好的，现在请我们两位呢，帮我们将这个亚洲最强的这个奖杯颁给我们的 LPL。
So they'll be giving the championship cup to LPL.
现在来自于我们 LPL 的4个战队呢，都在我们的讲台上呢。
So all the LPL teams are on the stage now.
那现在请我们的所有的选手看一下我们中间镜头好吗？来，我们一起看一下我们中间镜头。好，再往右边看一点。 也同时看一下我们的左边这边，来帮我们高举我们的奖牌好吗？来，恭喜获得我们的亚洲最强封号，恭喜我们的 LPL。
Let's congratulate LPL again.
亚洲最强冠军王者
The best of Asia.
好的，请我们所有媒体朋友帮我们来捕捉一下这个非常值得纪念的一刻。好的，那我们最后的5秒钟
This is a very good moment to remember.
Last 5 seconds. OK。 好的，那再次恭喜我们的 LPL。那相信呢，今天呢，在经过我们这个就是4天的赛程之后呢，我们的选手们心里呢，应该有一些呢，很想跟大家分享的心情。因为毕竟呢，其实在
everyone does have feelings to share with others.
那么的理想，但是在准决赛呢，甚至在我们今天的总决赛，已经打下了令人非常的亮眼的一个成绩。所以呢，接下来呢，我们的时间也可能要来交给我们的主持人，帮我来访问一下我们所有这个选手，对于我们在过程的心情，还有现在到底感想怎么样呢？
So they'll be sharing their feelings right now.
再次感谢安娜，我们也把掌声再次送给 LPL。那么接下来的话就是
give a round of applause to LPL again.
时刻了 ，Miko。那么先来问一下，从阿哈西的5战封王到今天再次站在这个舞台上享受荣耀，你觉得作为一名职业选手，此时此刻你觉得对于你来说最大的成长和帮助是什么？
What sort of help and feelings are you feeling right now?
LPL 赛区大家一起努力，就是大家各种交流。
So he's saying that LPL trying together and helping each other.
这一次来打季后赛
He's saying coming into the Rift Rivals.
这次压力非常大。那么此时此刻
And
的话，
yes, the pressure is very
很多的你
high.
的兄弟，你有什么话想跟他们说呢
So what do you want to say to your teammates?
就谢谢大家。
Thank you, everyone.
今天打得也特别好吧。
So everyone did very
好
well.
的，感谢 Miko。我们接下来的话要访一下咱们 RNG 的胡掌门了。
So now we'll be interviewing RNG's Xiaohu.
第一个问题啊，也是所有 LPL 的这些观众们都要问你的问题的，为什么队伍总是能在关键的时
So
刻
we're
站出来
asking
获得
why are you always here at the very important moments?
每个人都特别想赢。
So he's saying that everyone really wants to win.
整个的亚洲对抗赛和其他也是非常强劲的两大赛区 LCK 和
So this
LMS 进
time
行了对抗
at
之
the
后，
Rift
你感觉
Rivals,
最大的收获和
what
对于
is the
整个
biggest
LPL 最
gain
大
that
的
you
帮助是
gained
什么？
at this tournament?
收获的话，我就觉得可能3个赛区就没什么太大差距吧。也
So
看到
he's
了
saying that what he gained is there's no big difference between skills amongst the regions. However, he does want LPL to become
好了，我们
stronger.
要把掌声再一次送给我们的 EDG 和
So let's give
RNG。
another round of
那么
applause
接下
to
来的话可以看到
EDG
下
and
一位
RNG.
的采访主持也已经准备就绪了，我们把画面交给小熊，来有请。
是的，这边我们来受访的对象是 W
So we
的
are
Condi。
interviewing WE's Condi.
大家好，我是 W 的打野康迪。
WE's
今天打
jungle.
野风格非常强悍，就算是遇到 SKT， 还是硬是带起了节
His
奏。
style
今
was
天
very
是抱着什么
aggressive
样的心
today,
态来迎
even
战
against SKT.
今天我们队就是抱着必胜的决心的。
So he said he came with a winning
非常的
attitude.
简单那么
Must
想问
win.
一下，这一次参加了这个亚洲对抗赛，然后拿到了赛区的冠军，有没有什么要跟大家分享一下？
So what do you want to share after
我觉得这次
winning the
的
championship?
冠军是我们4个队共同努力来得来
So
的
he's
吧。
saying that it was because of our team effort that we got the
才
champion.
会拿下这个冠军。同时非常谢谢其他3个队以及
So he's
我
saying,
另外的4个
extending
队友
his thanks to other 3
是
teams.
的，赛区非常的团结。那我们这边也谢谢 WE， 马上把我们画面交给我们的于双。
好的，现在呢，在我身边
So we'll
站
now
到
be
就是我
interviewing
们的教练了。我相信今
the
天
coach.
他们一定是非常大压力的。现在想问问教练，今天获得了比赛的
The
胜利，
coach of
你想说的
OMG.
吗？
就虽然我们是唯一输掉的一支队伍嘛，但是既然整
So
个
he
赛
said,
区能够
although
获
we
得
were
这
the
个荣誉，我
only team who
认为还是
lost.
非常好的，非常开心。
However, he's very happy because this is still an honor.
OMG 所有队员心情会怎么样？会不会觉
So
得压力很大？
how
压
you
力肯定有，但
feeling?
是更多的
And
是
he's
希望
saying that
毕竟
of
我
course there
们
is
是作为
pressure.
赛区赢得了这场比赛，同时我们也看到了自己的不足，希望能够更
So
加
we
进
did see our
确实，
weaknesses
我
and
相
we
信
do want
呢，
to
通过
improve.
这一次 LPL 拧成了一股绳，能够一起齐心协力。
So from this tournament, we can see that the
亚洲对
teamwork
抗
of
赛的
LPL
冠
has
军
come,
我相信
teams
大家
have came
一定都
together.
是会支持这4支队伍的。好
So
了，
we
那接
do
下来
believe
时
that
间呢
everyone
让
will
我
be
们交还
supporting
给
these
现场
4
的主持
teams.
人。
好的，再次谢谢我们主持人访问，也再次
So
把
thank
掌
you
声
for
送给我们的
interviews. Another round of applause to
恭喜他
LPL.
们获得我们的亚洲最强冠
So
军
congratulations for winning the
同时也谢谢
championship.
我们 LCK 以及 LMS，
And thank you to
在这几
LCK
天我们
and
带
LMS.
打出非常精彩的一个
Everyone
比赛
did very
那当
well,
然呢
a
同时
great
呢，也要
performance.
谢谢我们的主办单位、协办单位，还有我们的赞助单位，让我们呢在这4天呢，可以在高雄展览馆呢，可以
So thank
有一
you
个
to
这
all
么
the
盛大的
supporters and
国际
sponsors.
赛事。那当然呢，再一次把所有的掌声送给我们辛苦的工作人员以及我们自己一个掌声，好吗？
And another round of applause to everyone here, all the employees,
好
and
的，
to
再次感谢我
ourselves.
们所有召唤师的陪伴，也谢谢我们的观众的收看。那我们的
Thank you for
2017
watching.
亚洲对抗赛在这边正
The
式宣告
2017
落幕
Rift Rivals.
那接下来，请大家呢可以继续关注我们的 LMS、LCK 以及 LPL 的所有的战队以及选手们。Rift
And
Rivals
keep following
洲际系列
us.
赛亚洲对抗赛，我们明年见！我是主持人娜丽，
See you
谢谢大
next
家
year. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Wendy, for the translation throughout the whole 4 days here of Rift Rivals 2017. And guys, I'm so glad that I've got a full LPL analyst desk here to present the championship to LPL that we weren't expecting to take it away. Final thoughts on the victory now?
I mean, this tournament performance is pretty much everything that you can expect from the LPL. You have your highs, you have your lows, it's a turbulent start, but at the end of the day, they proved that they are competitive. Does this prove that they're the best? No, but it means that people can't just ignore them.
Yeah, and it's proven that LMS too, they've gone so far. Remember, it was a 5-game set yesterday as well. So going into the next international event, all these 3 regions are definitely something you got to take care of. and just take a look at.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a massive level up. I feel like that's what Rift Rivals is about. It's about sort of getting that check, seeing where all of these regions are. And now what we've realized is that LPL, certainly a region to contend with. And that is going to be starting up again next week. There are no breaks when it comes to League of Legends here for any of these regions. Thursday is going to be the beginning of LPL once again, and Tuesday for the LCK. But that is going to be the end of Rift Rivals for Asia 2017. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you then.